Okay, before I hand it off, I want to discuss how EPDs can be put to use in LEED. In combination, EPDs and HPDs can be used to achieve up to 4 points in LEED version 4.1, which is very significant, right? 4 points. The relevant credits each require multiple products to have those documents submitted. Now, this is a benefit to concrete because each concrete mix on a project, on a building project, it's not unusual to have 5, 6, or more concrete mixes used in different parts of that building. Each one is a distinct product. Each one will have a distinct EPD and a distinct HPD if you create it, meaning that they can be submitted and contribute a larger part of that LEED credit. What this does is it positions concrete to have a very large contribution to LEED and makes it the green building material of choice for LEED projects. The EPD credit in LEED has been around for a while in previous versions, unlike the HPD credit, which is new in version 4.1. Here's how the EPD credit works. There are 2 options, each worth 1 point. To comply with the first option, you only need to submit that you have an EPD. The results are not measured. It's used to, basically this credit exists to encourage the creation of EPDs. They're looking for 20 products from 5 manufacturers. If you're a participant in the industry-wide EPD, you can actually submit that for 1 product point each. But if you have product-specific EPDs, they're worth 1.5, which means that concrete can contribute a very large portion of those 20 products. The rest can be picked up. Finishes are very common to also be equipped with EPDs. Finally, option 2 can get you an additional point. This is looking for only 5 products from 3 different manufacturers. But you've got to have a product-specific EPD and be a participant in the industry-wide EPD. What the LEED evaluator will then do is find the carbon reduction from the benchmark, like I just described, for each product, and award a certain number of product points based on how much of a reduction you achieve. So this is how EPDs can be used to gain credits in LEED. And I'm going to pass this over to Corey White from HPD Collaborative now to explain HPDs. After that, I will circle back and explain how HPDs can also be used in LEED. Over to you, Corey.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Let's get going. All right, so today we're going to be talking really about what Matt just talked about, but from HPDC's side. So to introduce myself a little bit, my name is Corey White. I'm the technical director at HPDC, and there my job really is I translate sort of complicated best practice, industry best practices, experts and manufacturers' experiences. I translate those so we can create really great technology tools to make the adoption of material transparency easy for manufacturers. So today I'm going to be talking just briefly about what an HPD is. We'll briefly talk about why there's no such thing as an industry-wide HPD, but how we came up with a solution for that, working with Nrmca and other trade associations to create example HPDs, describe how they work, and then I'll give it back over to Matt to talk about kind of how we partnered. So if people aren't familiar with an HPD is, the HPD is kind of what you see on the screen right here. It is a PDF type document that talks about transparency. And the HPD was created through what's called the HPD Open Standard. And the HPD Open Standard is important because it is an industry accepted method for reporting ingredients within a product. And that's important because before there wasn't necessarily something there in order to create sort of a tool or a product or an HPD, as you can see on the screen, to give to manufacturers and to provide a concrete way of providing this information. So before, there are many different formats, many different reporting mechanisms, and because there wasn't a standardized way, costs were higher, and really it became impossible to compare the different products as well within the different product categories. And just generally, it was really hard to find this information. So with the HPD Open Standard and creating the HPD, there was now a single standardized format that was widely accepted across the industry. And that allowed for project teams to accurately compare products to each other, and just the data quality just increased as well. And the data quality is specifically what we're going to be talking about a little bit today, and why that's important in an HPD. Lastly, there came to be a one-stop shop. It's called the HPD Public Repository that houses all of the HPDs. So it's a one-stop shop project teams can go to find all of the HPDs they would need for a project. So how are HPDs created? So specifically, HPDs are created by taking manufacturer information that then is funneled through the HPD open standard, and then you get the PDF that you see on your screen with all of the hazard information. But what's nice is, and kind of what we pride ourselves on HPDC, is we want to create tools to sort of create an easy button, right? An easy button for manufacturers to start the material health journey. So in the screen where you see the Health Product Declaration Open Standard, we've created a tool, the HPD Builder, that automatically helps manufacturers have the right information and follow this open standard to the T. And it's all automated, and it's a software tool that manufacturers can use to log their information, and it automatically creates a HPD that's compliant with the Health Product Declaration Open Standard. Right now we're in the version 2.3 of that standard. So why aren't there industry-wide HPDs then? Kind of like the industry-wide EPDs that Matt was talking about. That's because we require manufacturer-specific information. So specific information to the substance, material, or component that's supplied to the manufacturer that's contained within that product. So that's what's a little bit different. So in an HPD, HPDs don't use any industry-wide averages. They don't use any algorithms, approximations, or models. All of the information that's contained within HPD has to be manufacturer specific and has to be product specific. So think of the bill of materials level information for a product. And the reason why that's important is because to get to the future, we want to see circularity requires transparency. Matthew is referring to this as well. How will we ever know what's in a product, or how will we ever know how to optimize or innovate a product if we don't truly know, at 1,000 parts per million or 100 parts per million level? How will we know how to optimize it if we don't actually know what's in the product in the first place? So that's where we have come to a head where we want to create an easy way of creating HPDs for manufacturers, and kind of an on-ramp to support an industry. And that's where the trade association example HPDs came into play, and that's where NRMCA volunteered to pave the way. We had other trade associations like the Natural Stone Trade Association and the Copper Alliance Trade Association that also supported this effort, but NRMCA really paved the way for everyone. So this is an important initiative to HPDC because first, we want to continue to increase the participation into material transparency across all industries. We really believe this is a great way to reduce friction to start participation. We also believe trade associations offer a multiplication type effect within an entire industry. Right? If we can help trade associations and teach them how to fish, how to create HPDs, then they can teach an entire industry how to fish. And with this type of involvement, we foresee not only the tier 1 suppliers participating, so that would be the trade association members, but also the tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers as well, which would be the suppliers to the trade association members. So we see a huge effort, a huge impact that can be made. Overall, what we see from manufacturers is there's an easy way to start their sustainability journey, an easy way to start material transparency with this initiative. There's additional marketing and visibility for manufacturers, for project teams that are specifically looking for HPDs. And then innovation, right? Once you can start understanding what's in your product, you can start making your products better, which is the end goal for anything HPDC does. Benefits to the trade associations. You get to have visibility with your customers, and your customers get the visibility within a rapidly growing green building industry. you become the subject matter experts. So I think this is a really, really important part where why we want to partner with more trade associations is because you become the subject matter expert for small businesses. A lot of times your members are small businesses with limited resources. All of a sudden they get a fantastic resource to help them with material transparency and other sustainability steps. This is the sort of partnerships we love to see. Lastly, it's a documented, tangible service for the customers to a trade association. So anytime we can provide anything tangible, it's always a win. So I always get asked this, so I wanted to include this in the presentation, is the cost. So to participate with HPDC, the trade association would need to be an affiliate member or a general member. And there are discounts for, if the trade association is a nonprofit. And the manufacturer, which would be the customer of the trade association, there's two different options as well. You can do a 5-pack token, which is equal to 5 HPDs, or do the affiliate membership as well. So overall, the cost to participate is pretty low. So let me describe briefly how this works. So first, it starts on the trade association side. So any manufacturer that's on this call or sees this and is going to be working with a trade association, just know that the trade association has done a lot of work on the back end to make it easy for you on the front end. So the first thing they're going to be doing is they're going to be registering as an ecosystem member. And then what we will do is we will set them up as a consultant role within the HPD builder. And what this does is they can then help create HPDs for you as the manufacturer. The trade association will then begin to create some of their example HPDs for their customers to reference. And what this really does is it reduces the friction to start, and there's just a lot of initial time investment to get the example HPDs created. And we believe that if a trade association does this, they can probably take care of about 75% of the information that would be needed for the manufacturer. So once the trade association develops a list of common example HPDs that can be made, they'll work with us to ensure that those example HPDs are created correctly. So the last thing we want to do at HPDC is give approval or free reign to create a bunch of example HPDs that are created wrong, and then all of a sudden the entire industry is has wrong HPDs. So what we're doing is we're making sure that we're approving all of these example HPDs. And once that's done, those example HPDs can then be put on websites. You saw Nrmca's website with the example HPDs, or other locations where your customers, the trade association's customers, can see that. And then you communicate the value of transparency after that, right? Maybe it's a lead capture system the trade association does to show the value that they can bring to their members. Step 2 would be the manufacturer. So overall, this is super easy to do for the manufacturer. You're going to sign up, take the manufacturer quick start training that's going to briefly describe what an HPD is and how to use it. You're going to download the HPD standard so you know what's going on and within the builder, what the builder is doing for you. And then you're going to learn options on how to access the HPD builder, which would be signing up for a membership. Once you're registered in there, you can verify your account, select your primary company, and then what we can do is we can start transitioning whatever example HPDs you need from your trade association. We can start funneling those into your account. And like I said, those example HPDs are about 75 to 80% of the way done already for you. Now all you need to do is enter your site-specific information, which is required to publish an HPD. So I just briefly will also want to touch the example HPD versus a published HPD. So an exampled HPD will have a notification on the header. So there will be a disclaimer saying that this is not an actual HPD. There will also be draft markings on the example HPD, where the published HPD won't have the header, they won't have any draft marks, and it will be located in the HPD public repository. These example HPDs will not be in the HPD public repository because they're not an official HPD yet, but they will be contained on the trade association's website or other media areas as well. So I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen to this. What I'm going to do now is push it back over to Matt, but if you have any questions on this, feel free to reach out to me. I know I briefly talked about this at a high level. If you want more details, myself and Nrmca can get on a call with you and we can figure out next steps. Thank you. Matt, over to you.
Thank you, Corey. So the first thing I want to address briefly is just the process of creating those HPDs and what NRMCA's role in it is. Corey mentioned that we are set up as a consultant role, trade associations will be, and that's really what our part in this is as a consultant to industry, both for NRMCA members and non-members looking to get HPDs. The difference with EPDs is while EPDs are published by us and kind of run through our site, HPDs are unified on hpdc.org. And the catalog. So we will act as a consultant for industry working on that catalog, and you can come to it, either way. If you go to HPDC first and start getting started on an HPD, they will pull us in to be your consultant. If you come to us, we will of course refer you to HPDC and stick with you through the process. So in the process of creating our example product HPDs, I want to briefly address what did we find as impacts. First of all of these were created to the 1,000 parts per million level of detail, which is 0.1% by volume on all those materials. And so each constituent material in concrete was broken down: aggregates, cement, admixtures, and water, which is just water. And so we were able to find what are the potential health risks in any of those. And the good news is what we found is there are very, very few. And this is a good thing because it allows HPDs to demonstrate that, concrete is a healthy material. It's healthy, it's safe to live and work in buildings made of concrete. HPDCs are how we prove it, right? To address a few of the risks that did come up, quartz occurs as an impurity or a residual in the limestone, which occurs in aggregate. Limestone also occurs, as the basis for cement, but in the transformation to clinker, you don't really get that limestone content. Limestone occurs at about 0.1 to 1% of that aggregate. It is a carcinogen if inhaled, but this isn't a risk to building residents with, finished concrete, which isn't full of dust. The one implication here is, of course, that it's important to do dust suppression at the site where you are, dealing with loose aggregate at the site of manufacturing. However, that's not really the target of an HPD. HPDs are targeting risks to, end users or residents in a building in this case. However, that is something good to keep in mind for our whole industry. Cement has only a few minor warnings, and then there are no warnings found for other materials like fly ash, slag, or aggregates. This is consistent across the entire range of 72 sample products. So I was curious to see, as we got into higher strengths where we use more cement and more coarse aggregate, if this would change, right, as we got to certain content coming above that 1,000 ppm level, but it did not, meaning that really it's demonstrating that HPDs are a good document to show the safety of concrete as a material to human health. I want to put one caveat on this, which is that we are a constantly evolving industry, and I don't think we've been evolving at a faster pace than we are right now. We are adopting new products, especially in the SCM, supplementary cementitious material arena, in order to reduce carbon emissions. As we adopt those new products, those come with new potential health risks, which means that there's all that much more importance on producing new HPDs when you create concrete with innovative products, so that we can keep track of any new risks which might be inherent in those materials, keep ourselves as an industry responsible and credible with what we report. So I just want to leave off with that it's not good enough to look at these and wash our hands, right? We do have to be producing those HPDs, working with HPD Collaborative, et cetera. And finally, I want to address how we can then leverage that. Once you've got those HPDs, we can get those additional 2 points in LEED, just like we can for EPDs. Unlike the LEED EPD credit, the material ingredients credit is new in version 4.1 as a pilot credit. We also expect it to be a full-blown credit in LEED 5, which is moving along right now, actually, and we expect a public comment version of LEED 5 to be available soon, from what we've heard. So we expect it to be in there as well. But right now it's in 4.1 as a pilot. Like the EPD credit, it has two options worth 1 point each. Option 1, also like the EPD credit, is just looking for whether you have HPDs. They want to see 20 products from 5 different manufacturers, and remember that each concrete mix counts as one product. You receive 1 product point for just having an HPD, but if they are third-party verified, which is something that HPDC can help you with, and we will, of course, as well, they're worth 1.5, which makes concrete a bigger part of the equation in LEED. Second option is looking for HPDs that are third-party verified and free of major hazards. They are looking for 5 different products from 3 different manufacturers. HPDcollaborative.org actually has a really good page, info page, about how to get the HPD LEED credit, both of these points. So I would see that for more info if you're curious about this specific aspect of it. With that, I have no more material, so I can take some questions as well. Here you can see my contact information, my LinkedIn, and then a few key web pages. Build with Strength is kind of the home for many of our sustainability programs, and then our EPD program page and our HPD program page. Yeah, so I'm able to take questions as well.